Morning. Are you coming in then?
Good morning, and what a show we've got lined up for you today. Actor, dancer and singer Adam Garcia will be here. The ladies are very excited in the house. He'll be swapping the stage and screen for a seat at my kitchen table. And the 2 Michelin star chef, James Knappett, will be here as well. He'll be showcasing his skills and as what he's made him one of the hottest young chefs in the country when he makes his Saturday morning debut a little bit later. And the one and only Tony Singh will be here as well. Looking forward to that one. He'll be firing up the hobs and serving up a sensational dish of place. And don't miss this week's Sizzle Masterclass, where I'll be giving you a step-by-step guide to make the perfect chicory tart tatin. And that's not all, because we're lucky enough to be joined in the kitchen by a Lancashire lass whose restaurant and hotel, Northcote, has become a true powerhouse of the northern food scene. In fact, the UK food scene, to be honest with you. It's Lisa Goodwin-Allen! Great to have you back. What are you cooking for us today, then? What are you doing for us today?
I'm going to be doing a little chicken and leek turnover with some piccalilli. So, yeah, quite a simple... I'd say
is this one of your trademarky sort of dishes? I know it's worth trademark.
Yeah, so it throws back to a few years ago, actually, because I did the Great British Menu in 2010, and I did rabbit turnover.
I think you're the person who's won it more than anybody else, is that
right? Well done. I thought it was a really good one to do, and it's... so I did do it with rabbits, so it was a rabbit and leek turnover, but we're doing it with chicken today, so...
Right. Sounds pretty good to me as well. Right, I thought we'd kick things off today by making a dessert, really. This is a coffee cake, and I'm going to spice things up with an amazing little honey spirit. Now, I know you've got your eye on a few of these as well.
No.
We're going to get that on in a minute. But first thing is, we're going to make this sort of simple little honey cake. Really, really simple. So we start off by making a combination of, or this is a creamy method, of sugar and butter. So what you need to do with this is just soften the butter a little bit. So just pop this in the microwave just to have it at room temperature, really. And then what we're going to do is pop that in here and start creaming this up together. This starts going to go in there. So the cake tin that I'm using is a slightly larger cake tin, really, for this one. A little bit of butter, and then we can line our cake tin like that. So just a touch of butter, and then to line it, this is what I love. I've got my own cookery school now, and trying to get people to make a circle out of a square is one of the most hilarious things you'll ever do at cookery school. You can do this all the time when you're a kid, but the minute you hit 40, it's just that's disappeared in your mind. Look, fold this over, fold it over, fold it over, and fold it over. And then when you mark it through the centre, you can get yourself a pair of scissors and make a little cut, but sort of slight curve to it, and when you open it up, you've got a little cartouche.
So you just make it look so easy.
Well, it is easy, really, isn't it? We've had all different shapes, from triangles to all different shapes, trust me, but you just take that, that's your nice little lined thing. Now, this, we're going to then flavour this. I'm going to flavour it with a touch of coffee, which I've got some very, very strong coffee over here, but in particular, I'm going to flavour it with this honey liqueur. I'm going to call it a liqueur, really, because we've got a selection of ones in it. I'm going to introduce you to the supplier of this in a second, but this is the whiskey one, right? So, nice. I don't know what you like with whiskey at this time of the morning.
Don't know, we'll soon see.
It's got a little bit of honey in, so it's, yeah, a little bit of this. So we're just going to take a touch of this. I'm going to pop...
Big bit
a
of
that. Yeah.
Might be rolling out of here.
Well, I look at that, I know. By heck, it's good as that.
That's really good.
It is good, isn't it? Look, we're just going to take some of this. Ooh. This is going to go into here. I'm going to mix this all together. Now I'm going to start to add the eggs one by one and then fold in the flour. Now, like I said, when we started off this show, and we must be 3 years ago now, we started to introduce the people at home about all these amazing suppliers we have in this country. And it never ceases to amaze me where we get all these different suppliers from and all these amazing different stories with these different suppliers that we have on the show. And this is no exception. So we're going to find out a little bit more about this amazing honey spirit while we're heading over to Wiltshire, where we should be able to speak to Nicola and Matt from Beeble. Good to have you on the show. And beautiful. Look at that. Look at that setting. As if we staged that setting for you as well. Look at that. The blossom out and everything else. So tell us about where it all started, because it started off with an amazing story from you, Nicola, didn't it?
Well, a great friend wanted to give my partner a hive for his 50th birthday, and it was to be a big surprise, and we were all very excited. And a few days before his birthday, I thought I'd just check that he was on for the surprise. And I hinted that he was going to be given a hive, and he said, "Oh, no, I don't want bees. I don't want a hive." So I had to make a deal with him that he'd be polite to my girlfriend. And if I went on the course and looked after the bees, he would pretend that he loved them. So that's what happened. I went on the course and kind of fell in love with bees and started with one hive. And, well, to cut a long story short, now we have 130 and we have Beeble, which is our honey spirit.
So, and how does your friend feel about this then?
Well, she's delighted now,
right.
But this was very polite, and so it all ended well.
It all ended well, really. And now Matt, as well, you had just finished an accountancy course and bits and pieces. How did you get involved in the business?
I actually knew Nicola's daughter, Rosie, and we were great friends. And I'd been given a bottle of this mysterious honey whiskey as a gift, and I think it had sat on my shelf for a while. And then I'd been going to maybe a summer festival or something, and I'd with a couple of friends I'd sort of got it down me and thought, wow, that really was delicious. So we decided that Nicola basically wanted to turn her hobby into a business, and I was available, I guess, because I was looking for something new to do. And so we started to run with it, and it all started there, really.
So from having, it's amazing, from having one hive, you started producing honey in your kitchen, Nicola, and that kind of stuff, giving it out to friends. How did this so how do you then ramp this up into a business like it is now, to what we've got now? We'll explain all the liqueurs and bits and pieces that you've got now, but where was that transition for you, really? You just wanted to push it forward and have more hives?
When I realised that a bee makes half a teaspoonful of honey in its lifetime, I hated the waste. When you take the honey off the frames are redundant, and it's difficult to know what to do with them. And so I decided just to put them into a saucepan of whiskey. And the year before, I'd made sloe gin, and I thought I'd try making a honey whiskey. And I took it to a few farmers' markets and sold it alongside my honey, and it flew out the door. And I guess that's when I realised that I was onto something, and people kept wanting more.
I love this. So you're taking your honey, you just mix together a whiskey, put it in a jar, and then selling it. I love it. And then what we've got now is we've got a selection of stuff. Lisa and I have been tasting bits and pieces. What do you want next, Lisa? Do you want?
I'm going to try the rum one next.
You want the rum one as well? So I'm assuming
this
was the first one that you did. Tell us about the whiskey, and then how do you make this that you've got in here now?
Well, it was a bit of a process at first. When we first started working together, I would say that we didn't have an exact recipe at the start. So the first 6 to 12 months was a bit of recipe testing and making sure that it was stuff that, that we could get it consistent in every, or there or thereabouts, because honey obviously isn't consistent with every hive. So we started, we came up with a proper recipe, our secret recipe, and then we went from there. And then later on, we decided that honey vodka would be a great idea. Nicola's a little bit of a vodka drinker. And then I said, well, I'm a bit of a rum drinker, so, I think we're going to have to try that one too.
You've just got the perfect business, you haven't you, really? Lisa's chatting away, giggling to herself while she's just downing this rum as well.
I tell you what, it's dangerous, because it is. You can just drink it quite neat, very easily.
The flavours, from what started out, you've got no experience in this, because neither of you come from this sort of foodie background. What you've achieved here is something really fantastic.
Absolutely.
But going on back onto the bees, because that's the most important bit of this. Nicola, you fell in love with this when you started doing it. To have 130 hives, it's a tremendous amount of work. The hotel and restaurant that I've got, we have about 30 hives there. And it's a lot of work doing 30 hives. You've got over 120 odd hives.
Yeah, now I have 2 people helping us, and I couldn't cope. The thing you find is it's heavy. It's heavy work, lugging the honey and harvesting it. So I've got 2 assistants who help now, and it works great. And obviously, the more hives, the better. better for our environment, and that's why we're so excited. We're now doing beekeeping courses, encouraging other people to keep bees too.
I'm loving this, how it comes from an unwanted gift, and now you've got this amazing company that you've set up because of it. I think it's fantastic. So we're just going to run through what I've got over here. We've got this coffee, and I've put your whiskey honey in here, in with the coffee. This then gets baked about 45, 50 minutes. While this is still hot, and I've got one in the oven, we take our sugar. I'm going to mix more of this in here to create a nice little sort of glaze over the top. I've got some cream mixed up over here, which we're going to take, but I'm going to take a little bit more of this, and this will create a nice little sort of, you know, you get that crusty topping over a hot cake. That. So we just take our little bit more, maybe, just a touch.
Just a touch.
Just a touch, you know. And then you've got this nice little glaze over the top. And then what you want to do is take the cake while it's still hot. Now, hopefully you guys can see this. This has been in there for about 45, 50 minutes. What our chefs do is they'll go with a skewer and prick it with a skewer. What you can do with this is just take this mixture and just over the top. And what you end up with is this sort of crusty, you know, like you get on a lemon drizzle cake, I suppose, that crusty sort of thing. Similar sort of stuff, but you've got this honey liqueur over the top, which then sits there. And as it cools down, it goes this lovely crusty over the top. We've got the cream, which I've got whipped over in here, which I'm then gonna, I've added some more of this. You can do this with rum, of course, with the coffee and rum would work really well together. And that's your whipped cream. And then I'm gonna take the cake, which is cooled, and then sort of fill this. So what's next in terms of the business? You've got the alcohol. I suppose the temptation is do candles and soap and all this kind of stuff. What's next for you guys with the 130 hives?
Well, we love the idea of a honey tequila.
Are you doing this business as a business, or are you just doing it for a party and a lock-in?
Yeah, no, I think tequila, you know, could be on the horizon soon. But I mean, I think that for us, you know, at the moment where you can find us in, you know, the majority of the farm shops up and down the country, which is sort of our where you might be able to find us on the high street, if you will. And for us, it's about trying to get into more bars and restaurants, and you know, really try and break into that scene and into that world, and really, you know, start pushing honey spirits as a drink that you can, you know, goes well in cocktails, but sort of as an after dinner drink, it really is. It's exceptional.
Nicola, you mentioned the fact of the bees and the amount of work that goes in for just one bee to produce that amount of honey. I mean, a lot has been said and in the press recently over the years about bees and how important they are to the whole infrastructure of the way that we live, really. You can't stress this more than having your own hives and seeing the bees work, are you? I mean, I find it fascinating when you're in the restaurant and you're just looking out and seeing them work and do what they do. You realise then how important it is for everything that we have, be it the food on our plate, from carrots to vegetables in a farm to what we have here.
Yes, and even if you don't want to keep bees, just by, you know, planting some plants that bees can forage on, or having a window box that bees can come and visit, it's so important. And I would encourage everyone to think about having a beehive in the bottom of their garden and come on to one of our courses.
Well, funny enough, talking about unwanted gifts, if I buy somebody a little course, and it's a lady called Sam Head that works on this show, because she got given a beehive and they all cleared off.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So she hadn't come on one of our courses, then.
Well, she's the only person either that kills a plastic flower pot plant, to be honest with you. But good luck with that one.
But at least the bees are out there somewhere.
At least the bees are out there somewhere, yeah, but not living with her. That's what she... Yeah, exactly that, exactly. But I wish you all the very best of luck with it. Hopefully I've done this justice.
Yeah, wow, looks delicious.
Looks all right, isn't
fantastic.
it? But you mentioned the fact of waste, and I think the key to it really with that is you've got the honey, but also you've got the honeycomb. I think it is important, isn't it, really, to utilise everything, really. So I'm going to take this honeycomb and stick this on the top, because I love this sort of stuff.
It's so good for you. Very antibacterial.
which is exactly what I need, to be honest, because I'm sniffing a bit. I do apologise today, but I'm in recovery mode. I don't know which is going to be more effective, this honeycomb or your whiskey bee liqueur, to be honest with you. But,
that's it.
yeah, exactly.
You could do with a couple more bottles.
Exactly, but we're just going to pop this over the top, like that, and then finally we'll give it a little slice of this, so you can see what it's like inside. We can take a nice little cut of this. Every time you cut it, do your proper wedge. This is this honey and coffee cake. Look at this. My honey and coffee cake done with this amazing liqueur. Cheers. There we have it. Bon appetit.
Oh, look at that.
Look at that for a cake.
That's a proper slice, that.
Oh, look at that for a cake. This is... I always think cake should be equal quantities cake and filling. Silence.
Not bad, that.
It's not bad, that, is it?
Not bad, that. That's delicious.
Not bad,
delicious.
that, yeah. Right, I'll be making a proper carbonara for my guest, Adam Garcia, very shortly. And the very talented James Knappett will be sharing a recipe for trout a little bit later. But join us after the break when Lisa and I will be trying to solve some of your kitchen dilemmas with a little help from a chef called Tony Singh. I'll see you in a bit. Welcome back. Now I'll be cooking a first course of carbonara for my guest, Adam Garcia. And I'll be giving you a masterclass in chicory tartan a little bit later on this morning. But before that, I'm here with Lisa. And I thought I'd take a seat for this one because we're joined in the house by Tony Singh.
Yay!
Your first time at the house as well.
First time, yeah.
I can't believe this is your first time at the house.
Yeah, it's great.
Have you been looked after?
Yes. No, everybody's been fantastic.
A long way from home.
I am. It was a bit of a trek to get here, but we made it.
It is, and you brought along some... This is some of your homemade tablet, which is very kind.
Yeah, you can't go to somebody's house without bringing them something sweet.
It sounds pretty good to me. So what are you going to be cooking for us a little bit later?
It's a twist on a soul manure. So we've got a lovely bit place, and we've made lime and ginger juice. We're going to Monty that. Well, we're going to deglaze the pan with that. Instead of just parsley, we've got parsley, coriander, and some pomegranate seeds with asparagus and some tatties. Just simple and lovely.
And some asparagus and tatties. It's absolutely good. Right, and these two will be taking over the kitchen a little bit later. But right now, I thought I'd take a look at some of the dishes you've been cooking at home. So first up, you'll like this one, Tony. We've got a dish from Rachel Anderson, who's had a go at making haggis Scotch eggs.
It looks spot on. Look at that.
Looks pretty good to me, doesn't it,
no,
really?
It does. Great shape. The right amount of haggis all the way around, but the yolk's still soft.
6 minutes, soft-boiled, that's how it's got to be. And it's quite tricky to get right, really, but I mastered that one, I think.
Yeah, no, it's spot on.
Next up, we've got a photograph from Neil Compton, who's been keen to show off his blooming onions. He served with a homemade dal. Now, if you've never made a blooming onion, it's very, very simple. Soak it in milk, a little bit of flour. You cut it in a certain way, and when you deep fry it, it opens up a little bit. Great work there, I think.
Yeah,
not bad.
absolutely.
Definitely.
And we're starting to move into barbecue season now with Ellis Elias, and has been outside cooking this stunning-looking piece of lamb. How does that one look?
That looks delicious.
The lamb looks good, but the tatties look amazing.
See, I love that when you take it and you drip it onto the potatoes as well.
Can't beat it. Looks
I mean,
awesome.
absolutely fantastic. And finally, top marks this week goes to Andrea Madgwick for these proper old-school prawn cocktails. Takes you right back to the 1970s.
Classic, that,
Who
now,
doesn't
isn't it?
love a prawn? I've actually got it on my restaurant menu now. I love prawn cocktails so much. And it's become really, really popular. I think it's a great thing to do.
Well, it's a classic for a reason, eh? Just the flavours, the combination just works.
Yeah.
Done right.
There's one thing missing from that, though. Melba toast.
Oh, yeah, I like a bit Melba.
Oh, Melba toast.
Melba toast, you see, there you go. Now, as well as your photographs, we've had loads of questions on food and cooking. So I thought, seeing as you two were here, we'd have a go at answering a few of them, that's all right. So this is like, you've got gardener's question time, you've got foodie question time now. So I need to put my glasses on for this one, get a little bit serious.
Feel like we're in the hot seats.
So here we go.
Looks serious.
Right, here's one. Tim Brown, why does my beer batter start off crispy when it comes out the fryer and always goes soft?
Steam from the fish.
Yeah.
So how do you stop it?
I'd normally use something over 40% of vodka so it doesn't react with the gluten, really crispy, and it stays that way. It's really cool.
And if you didn't want to use gluten, because gluten is the key to that.
That's it, yeah. You can use a gluten-free flour.
Yeah.
Gluten-free self-raising works really well, and then use like a cider or a beer or something like that.
It works. I think gluten-free flour with beer.
Yeah,
that
works a lot
should
better.
prevent it.
Yeah,
I need to give that a try.
You should hold it a little bit better. There you go. Now you know. Right, Michelle Dale. I have a big birthday coming up. She doesn't actually say which birthday it is, but please could you give some dessert suggestions for 30 people or more that would be easy to make that isn't a trifle? First of all, Michelle, why are you cooking for your birthday? And why are you making the cake, first of all? Why isn't somebody else doing it? But anyway, if you are going to do that, dessert for 30 people or more.
Black Forest Gatto.
Tiramisu.
Oh, both.
We got 2 classics there, but you've got prawn cocktail followed by Black Forest Gatto. Look at that.
But tiramisu, lovely. But is that, would that class it as a trifle? You know what I mean? She's saying no trifle. I think that's giving her age away as well. I love a trifle.
You like a trifle?
I love a trifle, especially when the sponge has been set with the jelly.
Sponge.
Yeah.
Loads of alcohol on your sponge.
Sherry. Lots of sherry.
So you'd do tiramisu, would you?
I like tiramisu, yeah.
Yeah, see, I would do sticky toffee pudding.
Oh, that's a good one.
Or
that.
a bread and butter pudding.
Yeah.
Because I think a bread and butter pudding like that, you can make it, you can have it at room temperature.
That's it, all done, yeah.
Put the custard on it, it's done. There you go. Right, we've got time for one more question. Now, we've got loads of honey. As my son keeps bees, we've been talking about honey on the show. Can you all suggest some different ways to use honey in recipes? That comes from Carol Freeman. What do you do with the amazing honey we have in this country?
I love making honey parfaits, frozen honey parfait.
So like an ice parfait, it's not an ice cream.
It's a parfait, so when you're making the bomb, use the honey, take it to temperature, use that.
So are you using whipped cream to it or whipped egg
So
white?
you get your eggs, bring it up to Sauvignon, where you normally add your Italian, your sugar, take it up for Italian meringue. Boil your sugar till right temperature, 1, 2, 3, and pop it in.
So that's over a Sauvignon and you whisk it?
In a machine, and you're cooking it, just like an Italian.
And then you freeze it and
Freeze
it
it.
produces amazing... Yeah.
It's a great substitute for sugar, isn't it? So, like, if you're making a little homemade pickle, instead of the sugar, use the honey. It's great in, like, kind of sauces and stuff like that. When you're making, like, barbecue sauces and rubs, use your honey in it. I think it's a great kind of... And it's, you know, very, very good, very healthy.
Yeah, I think a barbecue sauce would be one of my sort of things as well. A lot of people just think barbecue sauce, they go to the supermarket and buy it. It's so easy to make yourself. Ketchup, soy, and something like a honey base.
Yeah, like a honey, it's
rather than use a sugar base, just use the natural honey from it as well. And you get that lovely sticky flavour as well. There we go.
Yeah.
That wasn't too testing, was it, really? That was all right.
We came
Easy
off
as
no
that.
bad,
If there's anything you'd like to learn about for food and cooking, then do get in touch. We'll see if we can answer your questions right here on the show. Now, do keep sending your pictures and videos coming in as well. We love to see what you've been inspired to cook at home. These two will be cooking for us a little bit later, and top chef James Knappett will be making his first appearance to Hampshire very shortly. But see you back here in a few minutes. We'll be making a proper carbonara for Hollywood and West End star Adam Garcia will be here. That's coming right after the break. See you in a bit. Welcome back. Looks like the top of the pops, doesn't it? There we go. I'll be giving you a crash course in making a perfect chicory tartan in this week's little masterclass. And Tony Singh will be serving up a dish of plaice. That's coming up next. But first, I'm here with a world-renowned tap dancer from Down Under whose talent has taken him everywhere, from the West End stage to Hollywood. It's the brilliant Adam Garcia! Welcome to the house.
Thank you so much.
Welcome to the house. Great to see you as well.
Lovely to see you. I'm very excited.
I know you're a big food lover as well. So
Yes.
Lamb particularly, which we're going to do later on as well. So I'm going to cook you a dish of lamb. I thought
Fabulous.
pasta and carbonara really with this one, but carbonara's got no garlic, no shallots, no cream. So first thing is with the pasta, because it takes about sort of 5 to 6 minutes to make. For this one, we're just going to take some salt, plenty of salted boiling water, and then before I get the pasta in, I'm going to get the pancetta over here, so I'm going to dice it all up and fry that, and that's going to be drained off, and everything comes together at the end as well. So first of all, what a career. You can't imagine that as been dragged to a dance school. Was it a mate of yours that dragged you to a dance school? And
yeah,
said, come along, and was that for support for them, really?
Totally. I mean, I was 5, and his sister played cello, and he had to go with her because his mum worked. And so he was like, well, there's a ballet school next to it. I'm going to learn ballet. You have to come with me. And I was, I was like, yeah, OK, whatever. And so, yeah, that was it. So I have my friend Morgan to blame. And then he quickly...
What age were you then?
I was 5 or 6.
So there can't have been any sort of backlash, because I presume you'd done this later on at school. There would have been a bit of...
Yeah, yeah. Kids at 5
kids are like 5 years old.
They're like, whatever. They're like... And so, yeah, so I was really... And I just, as soon as I started dancing, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Loved the idea of music and movement.
What did you like about it? Were you into... Well, I mean, you kind of been in music at 5 years old, but what was it you liked about it? There must have been...
I think it was just... I know it's hard to describe, but it was that idea that you could make up movement that seemed to make sense of the music. And I know I'm sort of analysing it now, but that was the thing. Like, there was music, and then you sort of did movement, and it sort of made a picture of the music. And that's always been my
But was tap dancing popular in Australia then, or what?
It kind of was.
Right.
I think, and it was because, like, we only had, 4 channels.
Yeah.
And every Saturday there was a Saturday matinee movie, and it was always an old movie, an old MGM movie. And so there was a surprising amount of boys, like Tap Dogs and Hot Shoe Shuffle, the shows that I went on to do, they all have the same story, that their mums or their grandmothers loved these MGM musicals. And so kids would grow up watching musicals. It was sort of
tell
really
us about
normal.
Hot Shoe Shuffle, because that was one of the first, probably Australian ones, that moved from Australia to the West End. It used to be the other way around, West End or Broadway, and then around the rest of the world. This is, I mean, you were one of the first that did that transition over.
Yeah, it was. It was the first Australian musical to cross the pond and play on the West End, and I had no idea, of any of that. I think I was doing it because, I met these guys doing, basically being a commercial tap dancer, of which there wasn't really much to do anyway. And yeah, we did the show around Australia. It proved successful. I deferred university, for 2 months.
Right.
And I was like, well, I'll just put that on hold. This show's going to last 3 months, and I've always wanted to do it. Something like that. And then, the next thing you know, we're in London. I'm 20 years old.
And I was going to ask how old you were, because you can't have been, because all your career, you did so much quite young. Talking about, the West End, was that the reason why you got spotted for the West End? Because it was Arlene Phillips, she was doing this thing, Saturday Night Fever. I remember going to see that.
Yeah, right.
We're similar age.
Well, yes.
A little bit older, I am.
No.
But I remember I came to see you.
Yeah, right.
And you can't have been, because you can't have been any more than 21, 22 when you were doing
I
that?
was 24 when I did that.
24 when you were doing
24
that.
when I did
but
that.
to get the lead role in something like that...
It was, and it is, a huge amount is thanks to Arlene, because she saw Hot Shoe Shuffle. They asked me to audition for Danny in Grease, but when I turned up, I looked 12.
Right.
Or looked really young. And so they cast me as Doody in Grease. And it was all the same. It was Robert Stigwood, David Ian, Paul Nicholas, and Arlene, choreographing it. And then they had this idea of doing Saturday Night Fever, and they were like, he's a dancer, we need someone who can dance. And so luckily they had the faith in me to take on the lead in a West End show.
Well, I say faith, you got tremendous talent as well. Look, we've just got a mixture of Parmesan and a bit of pecorino. I'm going to bring this together and pop it into a bowl. But how quickly did Hollywood come calling when you were doing that? Because, to do iconic shows is one thing. To do iconic films are another. You can't imagine. You were in Coyote Ugly. There's people watching this going, I remember seeing you somewhere. You're in... I mean, that was... Talk about iconic...
And once again, it was, it was Jerry Bruckheimer, but it wasn't one of his... he did Flashdance, obviously, and so he's done films like that, but he's more known for, Bad Boys or Top Gun.
Yeah.
Like these really big, blockbusters. But, and it was actually the casting director for Jerry Bruckheimer saw me in Saturday Night Fever. And so she asked for me to audition. I was in Australia shooting the Tap Dogs film with Dean Perry, and I auditioned on my birthday. Wasn't even thinking of it because my mum was cooking a lamb roast for my birthday. So I did the audition, quickly went home, and then it's always the classic thing with Hollywood. They said, look, we'd love you to fly over and do the tests. We'd really like to
Never really got that phone call, to be honest with you, yet. But anyway, go on.
And it's soon. And because we were doing this six-day-a-week shoot, and it was for my teacher and mentor, Dean Perry, I was like, Dean, can I fly over? And he's like, mate, no, you're playing the lead in this film. Like, sorry. And I was like, yeah, OK, no, fair enough. So I said no. And, of course, to Hollywood, that's like, what? What? Someone said no to us?
Love it.
So Piper Perabo, who played the lead, wonderful, beautiful actress, she tells this story that when she met me, she was really bitter because she'd done like audition after audition. And in the camera test, she did this, 3 scenes and all these different things, had to sing, had to dance. And they're like, great, can you hold this 10 by 8? And it was my face. And she had to hold it up like this. And they were like, yep, that's our guy. And she was like, I hate this guy. He's done nothing. And so that was the first thing she told me when she met me.
Well, it became, and it still is an iconic movie. Look, we've just got in here. I've taken the water from this pasta. We just mixed that together with the egg yolks, and we're just going to make a paste out of this. And then this is the paste for your carbonara, you see? So we've got the whole eggs, the egg yolks, and that kind of stuff. And then what we want is the pasta is sort of al dente, really, before we lift it all out and we add it into our sauce as well. So, Albert, we're going to explain to you, I mean, you're sticking around for the rest of the show anyway. This morning, tell us about what you're up to now, because this is we're going to fast forward to current where we are now.
Yeah.
This is a thing that, I mean, you've been involved in not just on stage presence and that kind of stuff. You're involved in the whole back room, everything, for co-producing, everything. Tell us about what you're doing now.
Yeah, so there's a new show called Emerald Storm, and I met the producers, Duncan and Sam, and they had this idea. They had this Irish show, but they wanted to put tap dancing in it. So they came to me, and we sort of. So yeah, basically I'm co-choreographing it. I've written it, co-producing it, and it's...
What is that like, writing stuff like that? Where do you even begin?
That's a very because it's like if you imagine it's like a ballet but with tap dancing in Irish. So it's got to have a narrative. But it's not like you've got dialogue or, certain scenes. But so we sort of broke it down into how we wanted this sort of narrative to go about this couple who have this show called Emerald Storm and what happens when these tap dancers, these new guys come into town and sort of try and rock the boat, so to speak. So we just sort of had to craft something that could show off the tap dancing but also be a legitimate story that people could actually follow, not just like a review show.
Well, just to show you all the hard work does pay off, just check this out. So tell us when this is on, when people can go see it.
It opens in Cardiff. I hope that I'm right with that. On the 13th of September, and then it does 40 or so dates all around the country.
I may be following, because I'm on tour in October, November, so I'll probably be following it, or it's following me, one of the two.
Exactly. You'll hear us.
I'm not tap dancing or dancing or anything like that. Well, not yet anyway. But anyway, look, we've just got on here. This is our nice little bit of carbonara. All I've done with that is take a little bit of pasta water, and you can see just the heat of the pan. You get this beautiful, lovely little sauce that goes with it over the top with your pancetta. But that's to keep. I've just got a little bit of black pepper in here.
That's great.
To keep it nice and simple, but it absorbs all that lovely liquor from the sauce that's everything else, well, all in there. But you've got this beautiful, and it's just pasta water and just some pancetta with those 2 different types of cheeses over the top.
And that kind of emulsifies and just goes...
It all turns into this amazing little sauce. Get a little bit of Parmesan over the top.
If I have to.
And there you have it. Dish number 1, Adam, complete.
Oh.
Carbonara, done. There we have it. Dive into that. This is your starter. You've got lamb coming up next, but tell me what you think of that. Tell me what you think for your first dish. I'm going to go in with fingers. But the key to this is just cook the pasta al dente and finish it off in the sauce.
Oh, God.
It's a good dish.
That's lovely. It's going to take me not that long to eat all of this.
It's nice.
Talk away.
It's nice, isn't it? The pancetta, the salt, but you don't put any salt in it. It's all in the water.
Yeah, and that I've had a. My wife told me that, and I was like, no, no, that can't be right. But now I've been proven absolutely wrong.
You could have said that. You didn't need me. Your wife is always right. That's the key to a good life. That's the key to it anyway. But there we have it. There we go. Like I said, we've got a second course of lamb chops for Adam a little bit later on the show, and there's a masterclass in chicory and a tart tatin coming your way very soon. But I'll see you after the break, where Mr. Tony Singh will be making his first appearance on the show, and he'll be whipping up a dish of plaice with lime and ginger butter. Looking forward to that one. See you after the break. Welcome back. Now, there's still loads more to come from my guest this morning, Adam Garcia, and I'll be teaching you everything you want to know about chicory in this week's little masterclass, making a classic tart tatin. But first, I'm here with the chef, Lisa Goodwin-Allen, and we're here to enjoy a dish from a legendary Scottish chef whose food is almost as spectacular as his tasting kilts. He's not wearing one today.
Not today.
It's Mr. Tony Singh. First time at the house, pal.
First time in the house, yeah.
Good to
Thanks for
have you
having me.
anyway.
Yeah. No.
So what are you going to be cooking then?
We're getting a lovely plaice dish. It's a twist on a salmon, yeah?
Okay.
So we're going to fillet the fish.
Yeah.
Got a lovely bit of plaice there. And then once we filled it, pan it and a little bit spicy, a bit chilli, turmeric, salt, pan fry it.
Yeah.
While that's happening, you'll get prepped the asparagus, just snap them off, slice of tatties, we'll cook that.
Okay.
Some chopped coriander, some chopped parsley.
That's my list. Chopping,
chopping. Yeah, I'm doing the technical
So
stuff.
the potatoes, do you want them sliced long ways or?
Whatever takes your fancy,
Okay,
chef.
I'll do it that way as
Yeah.
well. So, anyway, so you're talking about the classics. I mean, yeah, but you were classically trained, weren't you?
Yeah.
Really? Wasn't it Royal Yacht Britannia you were?
I was on the Royal Yacht, I was down at Gravetye, I was at the Balmoral. Some really amazing places.
So what got you in your love of food then? What got you started with that?
I'm a fat lad, I like my food. You know what I mean? And the thing is, if you wanted to have extra, you helped in the kitchen.
Yeah.
But seriously, that was one of the things, surrounded by great cooks in the family.
Yeah.
But another thing, with a Sikh religious tradition, we do a langar, which is a communal kitchen, so we always helped there.
Yeah.
And it was just that, to bring people together, to show equality, it's just amazing. You know what I mean? Food is that medicine I think everybody needs.
Food and colour is such an important part of the Sikh life, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah. Food, colour, it's that whole thing of, I mean, everybody is the same, and anything that brings people together is a good thing. So we've got that there.
Yeah.
Wash my hand.
So this you're going to pan fry exactly like a Meunier sort of style?
Yep, so we'll pan fry that, but we're
Okay.
going to deglaze it, we're going to make the butter into boire so we're going to deglaze it with lime juice and ginger. But we're going to put the ginger, chop it up, put it in the blender, blitz it with the lime juice, so you've got a ginger lime juice.
Okay, and the spices, are you mixing those with the
Yeah,
flour?
we're going to mix it in there, so we've got chilli instead of pepper, a little bit
Do you
turmeric
want
for
to mix
colour.
that together? Both of these, all of
No,
them?
not all of them,
Okay,
sorry.
I was just going to say. It's like,
A little bit, I've got that. Cool.
Tell me when.
Yeah, perfect.
That's enough.
Oh, see, there you go. I was told off not to use my fingers.
Oh, no,
Had a fork in it.
it's use your
That's
fingers.
cool.
It's
I'm
my
in your
house. You can do it.
That's it. I
You can do what you
whatever
want,
I
chef in here as well.
That's what I want. So, lime juice goes in.
Now you've gone from restaurants to doing this pop-up thing. I'm intrigued with this. How does this work then? This pop-up?
Well, it's my supper club. So that's my main thing. So you come round to my house and you're my guest.
You come round to your house?
Come round to my house, you're in my kitchen, you get well fed and watered, and what happens at supper club stays at supper club. You get the crack, it's good fun.
Right.
It's
When did you start doing? I bet you that in Scotland must be amazing. When did you start doing that then?
we started doing that in 2017.
Right.
So
He's got it right, hasn't he?
Yeah, just the timing. We were looking at getting something, but you honestly, fate. It was just spot
Because
on.
you had restaurants for a while, didn't you, in Scotland and bits and pieces? I mean, you know, and then to diversify and do the supper club, but keep that going. I mean, it must be a joy that you can do what you want.
And we can do what we want. It's like going round to your friend's house. So it's a bit more cheekiness. It's a bit more relaxed.
Would you invite people into your house?
I don't know.
The right sort of people. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So that's good. So here, we've got the ginger, the lime, and we're going to let that run for a second. And then you're going to chop the herbs. We've got pomegranate for some texture. Now we're going to cook the fish.
Now, classically, meuniere would be just parsley. You've got a little bit of mint, you've got coriander.
A little bit, tiny little bit of mint, more coriander, and then a little bit of parsley.
Right.
And you've got the spices in there. I think you could use judiciously spices in all the classic dishes just to give them another bit of life and something different.
So what spices are you using for this one? A bit of turmeric and...
A bit of turmeric, a bit of chilli powder.
Yeah.
So we're taking out the pepper. We're not putting any pepper in there. So remember, you're going to get the heat from the ginger as well.
Right.
So in it goes.
And this, rather than just deglaze it with lemon juice, this is the key.
Yeah, this is the key. It's great.
Right.
And if you've made a lot, if you freeze it in ice cubes, it's great in a gin and tonic. Ginger and lime already. Pop it in. Not a lot like gin, but...
Coming round to your house,
that
definitely.
makes-
Look at that.
Honestly, it's fun. In goes the fillet of fish. We take it off the excess. It's cool.
And place is fantastic this time of year anyway.
Place is amazing. And the asparagus and the tatties. That's going to be too long. Sorry, I'm just going to cut that.
There you go. So you got parsley chopped, we've got coriander chopped, and I've got some mint chopped.
Brilliant.
So do you miss all the restaurant-y sort of buzz and stuff like that?
I miss the camaraderie in the kitchen with the team, but then I'm getting that with the guests.
Yeah.
So the thing is, okay.
Turn that down a bit, yeah.
Cool.
There you go.
So again, okay, you're going to put down the bit you want to show to the guests up, your service side.
There you go.
There it goes.
Move that out of the way.
Brilliant.
So you don't... The thing is with place, and I'm particularly sorry, you don't cook it for very long.
No, not at all. And when you put the hot butter on it as well, it's cooking it again. So we'll just get to that.
Looking pretty good there.
Yeah.
But yeah, just get to turn that over. Just that lovely little bit of colour on it.
I've got a tray for you there. I mean, it takes no more than a minute, doesn't it, really? That's
it.
What you want from this. And the asparagus, you want me to just cook this nice and simply?
Very simply. And I'm going to make the sauce straight in the pan, which will be lovely.
Go in there. That'll get cooked away nicely. So straight in. Pinch of salt in that one. That's your asparagus. And this is quite interesting. Pomegranate with all that kind of stuff. You're taking, again, you're classically sort of trained.
Yeah.
And
a bit of that. You know what I mean? When I was training,
yeah.
if you even mention putting chilli or turmeric on it, you'd get, oh my God, they never do this. And now you look at all the 3-star places and that, they're going to the east, they're using Southeast ingredients, Southeast Asian, all that thing that they're using.
Yeah.
Tiny bit longer.
I mean, it is minute. That's about it. Look at that.
Yeah, that's done. That's a thicker fillet, so we'll leave that in there.
I quite fancy doing that. I think it's quite enjoyable to do the dinner parties in your house.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
I'll need to get you up. You'll love it. So in the same pan, we'll have to watch the heat.
Yeah.
In goes the butter.
Yeah, I mean, you and I love this style of cooking, don't you, really? I mean, it's interesting, you left the mint out to the last minute.
Last minute, just put a tiny bit in. Because we're going to taste, season, and taste again.
Taste again, exactly.
Right. Right.
Just drain.
That's definitely enough mint in there.
We'll drain these off for you.
Thank you.
There we go. That should be asparagus and your tatties.
Okay, the sauce is ready. And we just pop them onto the plate, chef, in the middle.
All right, leave that. So where does the pomegranate sit in? Where does that go?
That's going to go right in now. You still want it, it's like
Flavour.
It's like Saul Veronique. You still want that a little bit cold. You know.
Silver and neat, but you're not peeling grapes.
You're not peeling grapes, but you want that hot, cold thing going on, which is great.
Right, there's your asparagus.
Again.
In season right now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. A few little potatoes. Like that.
Thank you, chef. That's perfect.
Happy with that?
Happy with that. And it goes.
Oh, that's
You can have that one.
That's your portion.
Yeah.
That's your portion.
And there you go. So it's not split. You've made a lovely amount.
Look at that. It just comes together. So simple.
That simple. That's what you want, especially at this time of year. You want to be out enjoying the weather, and not slaving about.
There you go, Tony, everybody. So have a taste of that. Right. I'm intrigued though. The ginger and the lime. I think it's a great idea with this. But
Look, tell me what you think.
Get that little kick afterwards, don't you?
Yeah, with the ginger.
It's really
Pomegranates
nice,
are lovely as well.
Pomegranate works lovely with it. How good does that look?
That's tasty, that one.
Good, good.
Tony Singh, everybody.
Thank you,
Well.
thank you.
Thank you. Right, Lisa will be treating us to chicken turnover. Trademark dish from the restaurant.
Yep.
That's what it's going to be. That's coming up a little bit later. We've got a masterclass in how to make the perfect chicory tarts tan. That's coming right up. Because don't go anywhere, because after the break, Saturday morning newcomer James Knappett will be taking over the kitchens very shortly. 2-star Michelin, James Knappett. Time to top trump this dish.
We'll see.
No, we'll see. We'll see. See you in a couple of minutes. Welcome back. Now, coming up, I'll be sharing a brilliant recipe for chicory in this week's little masterclass. But first, I'm here with Mr. Tony Singh, and we're both pretty excited about this one because we're about to get the chance to watch and taste a chef with one of the best CVs in the business. From the kitchen table in London, I built you up there. It's Mr. James Knappett. Great to have on the show as well. Great to have you in the house. So excited about your food as well, and we're going to talk about your amazing business as well. So tell us what you're going to be doing, because what a selection of ingredients.
Yeah, so we've got incredible ingredients, as you said. So we're going to do chalk stream trout, and then we're serving it with Milo shrimps. So quite rare in the cooking world, not through the abundance in the water. So when we do get them, they're very special for the restaurant.
So you're the other person I'm fighting to buy these from as well.
Exactly.
Because I try and buy these from my restaurant as well, because these you peel these. So we've got an amazing selection of ingredients. I know you want to get started and do some cooking. So what are we going to do first?
So we've got the shrimps. So the first thing to get working first is a shrimp butter. So we're actually going to serve the tail of the shrimps raw, but the shells is what's actually going to be served on the as a hollandaise. So
this is the bit that you're working on. We got melting down. Anyway.
So it's just regular unsalted butter.
Yeah.
And then after you've peeled the shrimps, they're very easy to peel. So you just take the head off, peel all the little legs off.
Who does that for you?
Yeah, we have shrimp peelers.
It's shrimp peelers.
It's me.
Yeah, it's you.
So and then we just put these in, and you want to quite heavily roast this. You can be quite intense with it. So so when you like roast a lobster or roast shrimps or baked crabs or something, that smell that you get, that's the actual flavour that we're putting into the butter.
So tell me about, I mentioned your CV. You started out life working as a chef, not just in any old kitchen. You just happened to go to Royal Hospital Road and Mr. Gordon Ramsay.
Yes.
That kitchen. But back in the day when it wasn't a 3-star place, it was a 2-star place.
Yeah, it was shortly after Boiling Point had aired.
Right.
So, yeah, it looked really cool on TV.
Was that so that was about 6 months, and then you ended up, obviously we're talking about Cornwall, you ended up down at Rick Stein's place.
Yeah, so one of my biggest things was I'm a country boy, and I wanted to keep going back to the country. And I realised that I can't, I've got to get away from that. So I moved, like, really far away from home.
Right.
And then went down to do Rick's, and that just became, like, 3 years I was there. So not just how good the food was and what we were learning, but, the lifestyle, the friends I met, absolutely everything was really special there. So, 3 years with him. And then went back to London.
I was going to say that, because then you went back to, I'm just going to heat up this pan to cook your asparagus.
Perfect.
But then you go back to London and working with some amazing people.
Yeah.
So tell us about the place you've got now, then, because this is... What you've got now is kind of unique, really.
So it's called...
Do you want this in an emulsion? This is
yes,
just a little bit of butter and water, yeah?
Please.
OK. Just a bit of that in there.
Small amount of seasoning.
OK.
Just going to
tell us about your place now, then, because that's now on, yeah? The kitchen table.
Yeah,
tell me about that.
It's called Kitchen Table. It's a 20-course tasting menu, and there's no choices. So we find the best of British, we say. Yeah. So we're heavily in season. The menu changes daily. So you know, as soon as something like the white asparagus comes into season, it's on the menu. As soon as the green asparagus, as soon as the English strawberry, etc., it comes on. We work as quick and as hard as we can to actually get those on the menu.
Yeah.
Then we only use British if it lives or grows in Britain. So we'd never use foreign fish, never use foreign meat, never use like foreign strawberries or anything like that. So it's been a way that we've cooked now. So the restaurant turned 10 years old last August, so we'll be like 11 years this year.
The place itself looks... Do you cook in the middle? Is that the idea of it? It looks great.
It's all around us. So the kitchen surrounds us. It's classed as counter dining. Because I wanted to sort of make sure that the work and the effort that we even put into sort of like sourcing these ingredients, that we can get this across to the guests.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's you know for me and my chefs to explain this to the guests is the best way. So this is the trout.
This looks amazing, by the way.
So we've taken this one off of the bone.
And the colour looks amazing as well. But you've aged this.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
So most people with fish would go, "What? How does this work when you age a piece of fish?" But it just, I mean, we've got a salt chamber over here, and some of this beef has been in there for nearly 12 months. But fish, you can age if you get it done properly. You can age fish, and it tastes amazing, doesn't it?
So it is done properly in you know, professional fridges. So you know, this isn't something that you know, you just take out of the water that hasn't been done in this style and then put it in your fridge for 2 weeks.
Don't do this with a piece of salmon from your supermarket.
Exactly, yeah.
Do you want me to start adding a little bit of this fat into here?
Yes, please.
There you go. So, take a little bit of this. So we're making a nice little sauce to go with it, which is this just whipped over and in here.
So we just put it on a non-stick tray. Doesn't need anything more than that. And you just brush it in its own fat.
Yep.
And all the fat that's already on there as well will help it. And we literally just want to, we call it like melting the fish. So we want to serve it nice and medium rare. A little bit of salt. And then it's just underneath a low grill.
So that's going in there, right? I'm going to leave you to continue with that, if that's all right.
Yep.
Needs a bit more going to it as well.
Yep.
I'll get rid of the fish out of the way.
Thank you.
The asparagus I've just cooked a little bit al dente in there as well.
Yeah.
Lovely white asparagus, and you just want some herbs in there at the end.
Yeah, right at the end. I think to like leave that just to warm through now. So you want it with like a bite. You know, soft white asparagus is nice as well. I'm just going to make a really quick black garlic ketchup as well. So
what have we got in here?
Yeah, black garlic. So you can now buy this. You can now buy this as a paste in the supermarkets.
Black garlic predominantly comes to the Isle of Wight, doesn't it? Really, this sort of stuff.
Yeah. So you get it as a paste, and we call it a ketchup. So and we only call it a ketchup is through consistency. So this will be you know, a nice umami, acidity, richness to the dish. So
this is just gently cooked. We're about a minute away from this, really.
Perfect.
So once you've got these, you cook these down. This gives us the oil that you're making there.
And you can keep going with this, heavily roasted. That gave us that beautiful shrimp butter that's built this up with. We've got a little bit of elderflower vinegar in here as well, which we make at the restaurant.
Right.
So you know, foraging and preserving is a huge part of you know, what the restaurant as well. We're super into that. So this time of year, we're picking massive amounts of like elderflowers, wild garlic.
Not in central London, you know. Where were you getting that one from?
Can't tell you.
Exactly, yeah.
Secret locations.
Come on.
Yeah.
We don't believe you. Tell us where.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Could you hold that for me, please, James?
Yep.
Yes, it's good to cook like that because also as a chef, I always looked at a restaurant where, you know, you get the classic restaurants where they do 4 menus a year, you know, spring, summer, autumn, winter. Right. And I remember the energy in the kitchen of, like, when that spring menu came out and you're like, oh, my God, it's like new dishes and everyone's absolutely buzzing on these new dishes. And then I remember the energy on exactly the same dishes, like a week or 2 weeks before the menu stops, and you're like, why shouldn't we have the energy that we had at the beginning every single service? So it becomes like a natural energy. So, you know, coming out of the game season...
I love how we call it energy and not stress.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I do love cooking.
PR.
I cook every service the restaurant's open. And, you know, that's a big part of...
well, this fish is just about there then,
perfect.
boss, now, so...
So if we can get our plates...
You want this sort of medium rare, which is about what that is, I think?
Yes.
Probably looking pretty good. Right. So you've got your asparagus there.
Yep.
We've got a nice little bit of fish.
Yes.
I will move that to one side and I'll grab your plates. You have 2 plates. You ready? There we have it.
Yeah.
The rest is down to you. And you say the asparagus, you want to keep this with a little bit of crunch to it as well?
Yeah. So even with the green asparagus, I find, you know, a lot of vegetables, actually, you know, with, you know, I think the old thing of overcooking vegetables is long gone now anyway, but there's, you know, that nice little bite, the freshness in the vegetable, for us works as a much better texture, and it shows the true flavour of the vegetable. Yeah. So with this now, this is where the raw shrimps come in. So we have this beautiful fine herb butter. Yeah. And there's all you want to do with the raw, like these are raw, and you don't want to cook them. If you cook them, they just become nothing. They shrivel up. They don't taste of anything. So we just dress it in this butter, and this is going to dress the asparagus.
These shrimps are so good as well.
First time I'm going to have them.
You've never tasted them? They taste amazing, I have to say. But right. So what's next?
And then the fish goes on.
Yeah.
Or actually, we'll put a little bit of this on first.
Yeah.
So you can just do like because of the control of the piping bag, this sort of seasons the asparagus as well. In like one big lump, it is intense. Yeah. So this used to be like a chef's secret weapon. You know, when black garlic...
Well, not anymore. You're about to give that away, to be honest with you, James. Yeah.
But now it's more readily available now as well, which lessens it. And then the fish on top.
That fish looks really impressive.
Yeah.
Really impressive.
And it's important not to be scared about overcooking it, because it's like fish like this, if you take it over, it does become that chalky texture. So like having it, you know, and it's safe to do so, having it this rare is very special.
And you don't want to overcook it, that's the key to this.
Yes, yeah. It's completely, you know, it's completely safe. And then the hollandaise. So like, you know, like salmon and asparagus with hollandaise has been around, you know, forever.
Yeah, but this takes it to a different level,
well,
doesn't it?
I hope so.
Look at that. It's amazing.
You've got the best of both worlds. You've got, like, the flavour and the delicacy of how pure the raw shrimp is, and then you have the bonus of, like, you know, what we all look for in, like, a roasted prawn or something, but without messing up the prawn.
Happy with that?
That's it, yeah.
So give us the name of this amazing dish.
So it's chalk stream trout with shrimp head hollandaise, raw shrimp and fine herb salad with white asparagus and black garlic.
That is brilliant. James, everybody.
Thank you.
There we go. You've never tasted these shrimps before. You have to try these. Go on. I know you want to have a taste. You have to have a taste as well, because I'm going to get myself a knife and fork, because your first time you've been on the show, you've got to taste your own food as well. But this...
Yeah, so like, oh, beautiful.
And the cooking of it is just perfect. Look at that.
Thank you.
Well, you did it, so...
It's,
Look at the fish. It's just...
No,
you can
fish
tell
is-
it's amazing by looking at it like that, but the flavour of this is just absolutely knockout.
That's exactly how you want it.
Well, it's a good job. You have got 2
Yeah.
Michelin stars. Right, we've got time for more first-class cooking on the way, this time from Lisa Goodwin-Allen. And I'll be chatting some more to Adam Garcia over a plate of lamb chops a little bit later, but see you after the break. In a couple of minutes for a masterclass in chicory and a tarte tatin that you've got to try at home. I'll see you after the break. This is delicious. Welcome back. Now, there's plenty more to come from my guest, Adam Garcia. But first, it's time for this week's little masterclass. And this week's masterclass is all about chicory, in particular chicory tarte tatin. Now, usually with tarte tatin, it's classically done with apple, of course. It was invented in France. The Tatin sisters, they dropped it out of the oven. That's how the tarte tatin was invented. But it can be made with lots of things. Usually sweet items, things like pears, apples, bananas, pineapple, that kind of stuff. You don't need to cook the pineapple or the bananas, but you do need to cook the pears and the apples before you actually start to cook the tarte tatin in the oven. Chicory, on the other hand, is this over here. So it's an amazing sort of salad as chicory. It's fantastic. Usually roasted and ground. It's an alternative to coffee, this sort of stuff. It's got a flavour all on its own, slightly bitter, but it's an amazing ingredient to make a classic tarte tatin, a savoury version of a tarte tatin. So how do we do that? First thing we do is get this on and start cooking it, because it doesn't take very long at all to cook. We've got a little bit of white wine and some orange juice and some orange zest. Now, the orange works particularly well with the chicory. So we take the orange zest, because we don't want to waste any of that flavour as well. That goes in here with the orange juice and start to bring that to the boil. There we go. Now, the chicory that I've got in here, you can do this with any variety of chicory. Whichever one you want, really. The dark one, the greener one, really, is the usually more bitter version. So if you're wandering around the supermarkets, go for the lighter colour, really. If you don't want to make this and do a salad, that's the best way. Now, wherever possible, for this, leave the root on, because this is going to hold all the leaves together. So what we're going to do is just take the chicory and pop it straight in here. And this will hold the nice roots onto the chicory as well. Now, when you're doing this, it doesn't take very long to cook at all, really, this. We just want to just soften this nicely, like that. Now, if you're using these for salads, what I would do is, you can shred this all up, you can leave the leaves whole, but I would just put it in iced cold water before you serve it. That way it'll shock it, it'll really refresh it and serve it nice and crisp. But it's a fantastic ingredient to use, really. You can find it at the supermarket. Usually people just wander past it. But with our tarte tatin, what we do need to do now is get onto the caramel bit. The caramel bit is really easy for this one. So we take some caster sugar, and we want just a little bit of caster sugar into our pan and get this sort of heating up, really. Now, there's 2 ways you can actually do the caramel for this, one of which is what I call this is raw, where you add the sugar raw to the pan, and then you add a little bit of water, if need be. Alternatively, you can do it the way that I'm doing it over here, which you add sugar raw to the pan, and then we just finish this off directly with butter. Now, the only difference is, really, with this, it just takes longer if you add the water to it. Now, I'm going to serve this with some hazelnuts as well for this finished dish, so I'm going to pop these in the oven also. They can go in. There we go. And you can see now the caramel of this sugar in this pan is starting to work. You see, it's so much quicker if you just put the raw sugar straight in, but you do need to keep your eye on it. Right, so once we've got our nice little bit of chicory like that, which is not far off, I'm just going to drain this off now. And you can see the chicory is nice and softened, which that is. Keep that orange zest in there. Now, moving this over here, you can see that the sugar's starting to caramelise nicely. Now, the thing about tarte tatin is you want to take it a little bit further, just ever so slightly further than normal caramel. Ever so slightly. You can do that for colour and taste. But that'll be the normal caramel. Let's take it just a touch further, which is about there. Take it off the heat, and you can only tell that by just looking at it. So take it off the heat and add the butter. Now, what the butter will do is bring this into a caramel that we can manage and utilise, because if we just didn't put the butter in and put the straight caramel into the bottom of the pan, like that, you'd never, when you tip it out, the caramel would just stuck at the bottom of the pan. So the reason for the butter is it creates a nice little caramel sauce effect, really, and doesn't allow the sugar to set rock solid. So turn the heat off now. That's your chicory. And the dishes that I'm going to put it in are these little small ones. Now, you can, if you wanted to, make it in a big pan like this. Not because the pan handle is oven-proof, you're fine, but we're just going to pop that into our little moulds like that. And you want it sort of 2 to 3 mil thick on the bottom of the moulds. There we go. There we go. To one side. And then we've got our nice little bit of tartan. Now, once you've got that, you can take your little bits of chicory, and then this is where I would then take the root off. So you just trim this off, and you can place... And remember, when you're doing this, so this becomes the bottom at the moment, and then we're going to tip this out, it becomes the top. So I like to put these presentation side down first. So you can see that's a nicer side than that one. So we're going to take that and pop it on there. Trim this off again. Place that in there. And then these other bits, we can trim off a little bit of the root of these smaller ones. Turn this the other way. That's that one. The same one here, just a touch. The root just holds it all together nicely while it cooks in a pan. So you can see you've just got this lovely little chicory. Now, the great thing about this is you can make these in advance. And when I say in advance, good sort of 2 days in advance, 3 days in advance, really, if you wanted to. Now, unlike the other ones, you can freeze tartan. I wouldn't really freeze these, really. What you do need to do is just allow these to cool slightly before we take our puff pastry. Now, always with tartan, just checking on the ones that we've got in the oven, we want to use our puff pastry. And nowadays, you can buy this ready-made puff pastry, which is fine, as long as you use the old butter one, because the butter creates the flavour in our puff pastry. But what you do need to do with this is just make sure the air or the steam that's caused by the butter melting when you make the puff pastry, give it room to release. And for that, you use a knife rather than a fork. It creates bigger air holes and allows the pastry to, or the steam to evaporate, really. Otherwise, you get a soggy bit to the pastry underneath. So lift this on the top. Now, you can tuck it down the edge if you wanted to, but we're just going to trim this so it sits neatly inside here. Now, this is the stage where you pop it in the fridge. If you want to keep it in the fridge, a couple of days, it will last in the fridge, something like that. And then when you want to, pop it in the oven, about 200 degrees. It's going to take about 15 to 20 minutes. And I've got one that's been cooking away nicely in here. So I'll lift this out. That's going to go in there. And you can see this one that we've been roasting off in here. Now, these are quite tricky to get out at this moment in time. So what I would do is just leave them to cool a little bit. And then usually with a tartan, you want to use this cooling rack and a tray underneath. Now, because this pastry is nice and soft, what you don't want to do is use all the liquid from this to sort of sit in its own juice, and that means the pastry is going to be soft. So what you want to do is very, very carefully and quickly just tip that out, but leave the top on like that. So we can just flick this out. There we go. And you can see the amount of juice in there you get from this chicory. So you just don't want to sit in its own juice, really, like that. So we're going to leave that to one side. Now, this is beautiful. It's lovely and sweet. And what you need for something like that is to complement it. And for that, when I was working in France, we used to do this amazing little dish called a classic beurre blanc, or beurre montaise, really, or Nantes, where it originates from. But you've got this wonderful, wonderful little sauce that you can make. Now, for that, it's really quite straightforward. It's like a hot version of a hollandaise, or a different version to hollandaise, but rather than melt the butter for hollandaise, or clarify it, what with this, you basically just dice it up and add it to it, whisk it to it. But for that, you need some finely diced shallot. Now, classically, and I say this classically because this is where it varies very massively, when I was taught, I was always taught to leave the shallots in. And this is from the late, great Michel Roux Senior. Always, always said you leave the shallots in, never drain them off afterwards. So he was always right, in my opinion. So I'm leaving the shallots in. So in we go into our pan. You can use a little bit of butter with this as well, but I'm just going to use a touch of butter, a little bit of white wine vinegar, a little bit of white wine, And then it's the white wine vinegar that really creates this amazing flavour with this. And what you want to do is bring up a nice little reduction. Chefs call this a gastric. It's this really sort of strong flavour. And this is the base. I'm just checking on the hazelnuts. This is the base for our classic little beurre blanc. Now, when I was 14 working in France, this was classically how I made it. But you often cheated in the... Well, not really cheated. There's a little way to help you along with this. Now, the key to this is you add butter to it, whisk butter in, but it can split. And what we do is we just add a little bit of double cream to this. We'll stop. Well, say stop. It'll make it easier for you to whisk the butter in. So once you get to that stage, you've then got your butter over here. We then turn it down, and we don't want this rapidly boiling now. We just want this gently simmering, almost just off the heat. And now we whisk in butter. And plenty of butter. Because this is a sauce made out of butter. So you do this off the heat. Now, if you put it back on the heat, it makes a little bit of the stove for a minute, makes a bit of a mess. You keep this off the heat. Now, you can see you get this wonderful little sauce, this glaze to the sauce as well. Very, very quickly. Wonderful little dish, this. Now, this is brilliant if you serve it with a nice little bit of fish. It's fantastic, but really simply with this tartare, it tastes amazing. So, very, very simply, you just whisk this in. And you've got a sauce, look. Classic, classic beurre blanc. But it's that cream that stabilises this mixture. It's making a mess of the cooker, but don't worry about that for a minute, look. And just put it back on the heat a little bit until it starts to heat up a bit and take it off the heat. And just take it on and off the heat like that to warm it all up. Until all the butter's melted and it's there. So lift this on and off. And there you have it, a classic beurre blanc. Really nice and easy like that. Now, how I used to finish it in France, just take this stove off, is a touch of lemon juice and a little bit of chives. So, finely chopped chives. I'm going to check. There you go. Hazelnuts are there ready. They're going to come out. And then you finely chop these. Now, remember, this is one of the very, very first dishes that I learnt in professional kitchens, was hake, steamed hake with beurre blanc and steamed potatoes. So, and I was doing this for 8 weeks in France when I was 14 years old. This, a little bit of pepper and just a touch of salt. And that's your classic little beurre blanc. Now, so if you didn't want the shallots in there, pass it off through a sieve, then add the lemon and then add the chives to it as well. But if I just lift these out, you can see what I mean now. A classic little tartare, which is there. And then we can lift these off. Now, I've got some little baby beetroot over here, which I've roasted. Again, this is what we used to do in France. But a few bits of these. You can put the beetroot in it as well, but it just discolours everything, I always find. I've got a nice little bit of hazelnuts, which you can just crush. And then you've got a nice little bit of beurre blanc over the top. You see it's nice and lovely and rich. A little bit of chervil. Look out for this, by the way, this summer in the garden centres. If you find this sort of stuff, buy it. It goes great in windowsills. It's brilliant sort of stuff, really. It's very difficult to find, really, in a supermarket, this chervil, but you'll get it in you get it in garden centres. It's amazing, amazing stuff. Tastes fantastic. There we have it, a savoury version of a classic tartare. Done. Now, if there's anything you'd like to learn about in a little masterclass, then do get in touch. We'll see if we can help out right here on the show. Time now for a quick break, but join me again in a couple of minutes where I'll be lucky enough to taste one of Lisa Goodwin-Allen's trademark dishes. I'll see you in a bit. Welcome back. Now we're laying on lunch of lamb chops for my guest, Adam Garcia. That's coming up next. But first, I'm here with Mr. Tony Singh and a woman whose Lancashire restaurant, Northcote, has helped her become one of the most influential figures and well-respected figures in the food world. It's a good friend of mine and the show. It's Lisa Goodwin-Allen. Wonderful to have you back. Now, this dish has become pretty iconic, this one. So, what are you going to be doing?
I'm going to be doing a little chicken turnover with lily.
And I'm on pickle duty, which I'll explain in a minute. So this is the pickle.
So this is a pickle lily. So flavours of it is a white wine vinegar, water, a little bit of turmeric, some English mustard and some sugar. OK, I'm going to be doing all that, so that's that one. So explain to us, first of all, you make the stuffing side of it as well. Yeah, so this is the stuffing here. So we've got some leeks.
Yeah.
That we're going to shred down, dice a little bit of onion, and then we sweat it down with a bit of garlic and add some cream.
Yeah.
Just to make a nice little stuffing on top.
Now, obviously mentioning Northcote, it's become sort of I would say probably a powerhouse. It's become sort of the equivalent to, I would probably put it there with Le Manoir.
Yeah.
In terms of that iconic sort of status, because you've been working there for 20-odd years now, isn't it?
Yeah, a long time. It's like shackled to the stoves. They let me out today.
Well, that's it. but it's changed a lot in that period of time, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has a lot, and I think that's the beauty about it. And the reason why, I've stayed there such a long time is because it's just kept evolving. It's gone from this small restaurant with rooms, 14 bedrooms, but now there's some plans in the pipeline that will be revealed.
Can we mention this? Are we allowed to mention? Yeah, why not? You're opening a second restaurant. Go on, then. Next.
I didn't say that.
We won't tell anybody.
I did, yeah. But go on, we can't.
We're hoping to, yeah.
You're hoping to?
Yeah, we're hoping to, because we think,
Just
like you
said, she is doing. But anyway, go on then. What are we doing?
Stitching me up today.
Of course I have. Yes.
I just keep thinking to myself, he does love me, really.
Yeah, of course I do. Tell everybody about Obsession then, because you've just finished that. It's become an iconic sort of date in the calendar in terms of the food world.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. We try and celebrate some of the best British chefs and worldwide chefs in little old Lancashire, Lango. And we have 17 nights of a food festival where different chef cooks every night. We like to think, we look after people and they come and they can cook their food in our restaurant, our kitchens, the way they would do in their own, but really look after them.
There's it raises a tremendous amount of money. Hospitality Action, you raise a tremendous amount of money for.
This time we raised 70,000 for Hospitality Action.
Deserves a round of applause.
It was brilliant. And, we have an amazing team because, without a great team, it's like yourself, it's never yourself that's in a business. You need a good team, and all of them at Northcote, they believe in it. And that's the greatest thing about it, that we can invite people into our home.
Right, so what have we got in here? This is the stuffing side of it.
This is the stuffing, yeah. Right. So I've sweated off some onions and a little bit of oil with some garlic. When they're nearly soft, we're going to add some cream into there.
OK. That's my cue to give you the cream.
That's it, there we go.
OK.
I knew you would.
So this pickle, kind of like a version of piccalilli, but without the flour and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's it. Kind of the flavour of it. So it's it's nice and light. And again, these are all kind of flavours that I think work really well together. But you can quite easily adapt them and change different ones to whatever you want, really.
So I've got cucumber. In here we've got mouli, which has been par cooked.
Yeah, mouli that's been par cooked, just because they're a little bit bigger, and also the texture of them. We blanched them in the salted water just to take a little bit of crunch out of them, and then you're just going to pour the hot pickle onto them. And you've got some spring onions there.
Yeah,
so
that you want cutting these into. You said to me, you want this. Was this ½ centimetre?
½ centimetre thick. Yeah, I expect you to have a ruler.
I'll be measuring. Come on, watch in.
Do you want it on a bias, or do you just want it just chopped?
No, on a slight angle would be very nice. Thank you so much.
½ centimetre.
Yeah, no, the reason, again, for little thickness is because the pickle's warm when it goes on. If they're thin, they just go, that's beautiful.
That's about centimetres away.
That's it. Brilliant.
Just saying.
I've made the stuffing mix there that I'll slightly cool down and then add some chives into it, but I've got a mixture here.
Right.
Already done. So we got the chicken.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to season it. So I did this dish on the Great British Menu, which was in 2016.
Yeah.
Lovely
was this the first time you won it, or the 12th time you won it? What was
A
this?
few times, good.
Because you've done it as well.
I've done it and I never got there, no.
Yeah, that was because she was in it that
I
year.
know,
You see,
keep getting beat.
You've got no chance.
Yeah, 3 times.
You might as well just say you're busy.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier.
Can't do it.
So I actually did it with rabbit, which is great, you know, and I think like this with the chickens, really tasty as well, but you can actually, you know, use any meat you wanted to, really. And we all like, you know, little posh sausage roll.
Yeah.
So put the stuffing on top.
So
there.
tell us about Northcote then, because it's changed so much over the years. You've gone from, what, 14 bedrooms to how many you've got now? And
Yeah, so it was 14 bedrooms and now we are 27 bedrooms.
Right.
We've got a cook school that's open 5 days a week, and we run like different classes and
not just that, you're running a place in London now as well.
yeah. So the Stafford is a part of. So the Stafford bought Northcote about 4 or 5 years ago now.
Yeah.
So I help Joseph, the exec, do all the food and kind of design the menus and stuff with him there. So yeah, we're up and down. So I go to London like twice a month, which is good. And again, Joseph actually got this on the menu.
So these, do you want me to take these out, or do you want to give them another minute?
Probably give him another minute, and have a sneaky minute there.
Another minute's fine.
We've got the turnover there, which is covered in the ham.
Yeah.
And then you've got a little bit of egg wash around the sides. And then we're just going to fold it over to kind of make a pocket. Pushing down.
Is that the turnover bit then?
This is the turnover,
is that,
yeah.
not the
So we're not
sausage roll
rolling
bit,
it, we're turning it. There you go.
Is that the difference between a sausage roll and a turnover?
Well, I'd say so. So we're just going to cut the edges off there and then just give them a crimp up on the side like that. It's all the technique there, you see.
Oh, no, is it? And cooking-wise, I suppose it's the same cooking time and temperature for the rabbit as what it is with the chicken.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. And again, for any, you know, once you start cooking in pastry, it's like anything. It carries on cooking when it comes out the oven, so it's
now,
good
do you want me to put these
rest.
vegetables in here?
Yes, please, yeah. If you've got the pickle there, pop them in.
So they're the pickles, they're the onions, they're the cucumbers. What about the little bit of radish?
We'll use them after. We'll put those on after. So
Well,
give those a good
gone in
mix.
there. Okay.
So if you probably want to take those turnovers out of the oven for me.
You want to
that'd
leave
be
them
great.
to rest a little bit?
Yes, please, yeah. So this one here, I'm just kind of egg washing it.
Ooh,
They look all right, don't they?
They smell fantastic.
Look all right then?
Yeah.
So in the oven for how long?
So that one takes about 12 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
12 minutes, 220, so quite hot oven.
220, yeah. And the thing with ticket is a lot of people will try and put greaseproof paper underneath before you put it on a tray. You want a good non-stick tray because you want the bottom to be nice and crispy.
Really hot, okay.
No soggy bottoms.
So we've marked
Exactly.
the wash.
Right, that's that. We've got our nice little bit of pickle
Yeah, a
veg
little bit
over
of
here.
piccalilli there.
Because this you take influences from what you've got on here.
Yeah, so basically, this is piccalilli gel. So all it is the pickling liquid. So what we do is once we've pickled our vegetables, we take half of it off and we thicken it. So you can do two things. We'll either use a gelling agent, which is agar-agar, so it's like a seaweed base, or you can actually use like a potato starch, just light a little bit in there, fecule, and it just thickens it
She
slightly.
wasn't swearing then. That is definitely that's definitely a thing, by the way. Just before
My
people
northern
start
accent.
phoning in points of view and all that kind of stuff. It's just, she hasn't sworn at me, trust me, but
It's my northern accent, sorry.
I'm not saying it.
So you've got this lovely piccalilli here. Well, mine's actually thickened with agar-agar, so I'm all right there.
Oh, okay.
So I'll take that out.
Happy with that?
Yeah, perfect.
Those are those.
So then, what we do is just get a nice little bit of this piccalilli on here. I think it's nice and kind of, you know, you can get one that's quite thick piccalilli, but this is not, so it's quite thick. So, you know,
Well, it's
the
also
liquid's quite
lighter, I think, in terms of
That's it,
flavour.
yeah.
Do you think? I think some pickalillis can be quite strong and
Overpowering,
Overpowering.
especially if you get the
That's it,
turmeric
yeah.
wrong and that. It's
turmeric
just,
and
yeah.
vinegar can be just way too strong. Yeah. I'll switch that one off. There you go. So it's important to leave these to rest, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it is. You want to give them a good rest, because when they do carry on cooking in the centre as well.
There we have the sausage roll turnover things. Serrated knife?
That's it, yeah, please. Do you want to cut it?
No, you do it. No.
So basically, it's with a money shot, I'm just going to cut nice portions from it.
Oh, now you've gotten chefy. Look at that. Look at that.
Just the sound of that
People
pastry.
are going to be home going,
These
what do
are
you do,
like
what do, you
the
do with these
chef's,
bits?
Option there. Yeah, that's it. That's your treat that you get to eat. And pop that on like that. And then we're just going to finish with some lovely little radishes. And a little bit of these herbs here.
You always make food look and taste amazing. Look at that.
We've got some lovely little herbs here.
So what have you got in there? Your little bit of...
Yeah, just a little bit of watercress. A little bit of dill there. You know, you can use anything that you've got in the fridge. Nice little bit of rocket's good, nice with it as well. It's just a... I mean, the beauty about these is you can actually make them and freeze them and then cook them from frozen. So there we go, move that off there. And I've got a nice little bit of piccalilli to finish.
Happy with that?
That's it, yeah.
Give us the name of this dish then.
So this is a little chicken turnover with piccalilli.
There you go. Lisa, everybody.
Right.
Mr. Singh. There you have it.
Lucky me.
I've got a feeling this might be on a supper club menu up in Scotland.
Oh, definitely.
Because I'm thinking, he's thinking like me, I've only got to make 6 of these, and then that's that course. That's that course done. There we go. This is delicious, isn't it?
Spot on.
Particularly with that pickle. Still keeps it nice
just
and light.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes you get pickles that are just too much turmeric.
Yeah.
Or too much vinegar. That's spot on.
It's a great dish, that. There we go. Lisa, everybody. Fantastic, that. It's a great dish. We've still got time for one more final course this morning. So join us again after the break, where I'll be rustling up one of Adam Garcia's favourite meals ever as I serve him grilled lamb chops with dauphinoise potatoes and a little bit of turnip in there as well. See you after the break. Welcome back to the last part of the show, but I'm back in the kitchen with all my guests, Tony, James, Adam Garcia, and of course, Lisa. Right, so one of your favourite dishes is lamb.
Yep.
Whether it be grilled lamb, whole lamb, barbecued lamb, this is one of your favourites.
Just, lamb. And it doesn't need, it's just, cooked.
Other ones of the dishes are things like dauphinoise, which you love as well. So I thought I'm going to combine all that. We're going to do grilled lamb chops, dauphinoise and turnip potatoes with chimichurri sauce with asparagus.
That's exactly my street.
It's all right, it's good. So first thing, I'm going to pass over... Why have a Michelin star chef in your kitchen without putting them to work, you see? So I thought what we're going to do is going to do potato and turnip dauphinoise. So you can thinly slice those in the mandolin. I'm going to pass you some garlic, a little bit of butter, rub it over the top. That's going to be your nice little bit of dauphinoise potatoes, if that's all right.
Absolutely.
Meanwhile, I'm going to take the lamb over here. Now, I don't know what you call these in Australia, these style of chops, but we call this Barnsley chop.
A Barnsley chop?
This is called a Barnsley chop.
OK.
Never been to Barnsley?
I've not been to Barnsley.
It's kind of like Sydney.
Yeah. OK. All right. So
you need to go there with an open mind if you think of this. But it's yeah. So Barnsley and these are called Barnsley chops. Now these are your obviously standard chops. These are when you cut it through and you've got a little bit. Sometimes you've got the kidney in there. Sometimes you've got the fillet in there. But these are classic Barnsley chops. And we've got a nice little bit of lamb chops over here as well. Now you're here because you want to be fed, but you're also here to talk about this amazing... Tell us about the show that you're doing as well, because you're just about to hit the road in September.
That's right.
This is something you've been involved in, not just co-writing, the whole process of the whole thing.
Yeah, it's been a really... it's been wonderful, actually. I won't be dancing in it.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting of an age now where that gets very hard.
Come on, because we've seen you on the Masked Dancer. We saw you on that.
That's true. That's true. And that was great, but it was tiring. I know Bruno Toglioni did it as well, and we were both like, afterwards, because we had no idea. We went and had dinner at some point after, and we were like, that was very difficult. Dancing's very hard. But no, so now I'm much more in the sort of choreography. So I'm co-choreographing Elbow Storm. I've written it. I'll be co-directing it and producing it, so sort of doing, pretty much.
So what's the story
everything.
involved then? Give us a little bit of insight.
So it's about a troupe of Irish dancers who are headed by this husband and wife team who are very much in love. And basically they run this show in this bar of theirs, and it's a very free show where they dance, but then anyone can come up and sort of perform with them. And it's sort of about their ethos of life, about being very free and open and creative. And that's great. And then these tap dancers show up, and they're very urban and a bit risky and a bit dangerous, but they're so good, and we have some amazing tap dancers, they're so good that they decide, well, why don't you come and join us permanently? And then everything starts going wrong. There's a love triangle.
Dance, you see, this is what happens when you get a tap dancer in the group. This is what happens.
I'm just going from life experience,
right?
And so so it's this sort of it's a dance piece, obviously purely dance, but there is singing as well. There's band, and it's this story of how this Emerald Storm, this club where this beautiful creative thing starts to get threatened and starts to get.
And this
thrown
is
away.
touring from throughout the UK from September onwards.
From September 13th, yep. It goes all around the
throughout
UK.
all that, while you're doing all that, you're still doing films, you're still doing bits and pieces. Where does your love still lie? Because when you speak to a lot of people that, like yourselves, it's always the West End, the stage, that kind of stuff. Because I mean, I'm assuming Hollywood is very, very different. It's a very different sort of feel, very, very different altogether.
Very, very much so. I guess I'm really lucky because I do get to chop and change, and I think that's part of why I can sort of go back and forth, and I'm really happy I can do that. So yeah, I'm doing like 42nd Street, performing in that when it goes to Leicester Curve, and then to Sadler's Wells, and then I go straight off to do a film in Australia for a couple of weeks, then come back to finish and sort of direct this piece. So I don't know though. I don't have a first love, but I really do love the creative process now of choreographing and creating something.
But do you ever get nervous with it?
All the time. All the time. It's constant, like, I have no idea what I'm doing, I'm an imposter syndrome, all those types of things.
But many chefs have got that same syndrome, haven't we, really? I think.
Because you don't know how it's going to turn out.
Yeah.
You have an idea in your head, and I'm sure it's the same, because being a chef is such a creative thing. You have all the skills and you have all the ideas, but then you sort of come together, you have to come up with something new. And you're like, well, I think it works here.
He's got the right idea. Get him to come round to your house. That's the best idea.
And that's it, you know.
Yeah, they're always nicer.
Right, so we got our Dauphinoise potatoes. You can explain what we've done there to make our Michelin-star Dauphinoise potatoes.
It is Michelin-star as well.
Well, go on then. So we got your potatoes with the turnip. Off you go. You can explain that.
OK, so we've done potatoes, thinly sliced them, and then layered them up with turnip as well, thinly sliced, a little bit of garlic, and then salt and pepper between each layer, and then the cream on the top.
And then I've baked those for about sort of 45 minutes in there. And while they're baking, we've got to melt you a little bit of butter that we've got in here, because what we're going to do is take the ones that we've got cooking, which have been in here. These are...
Oh, look at those.
Turnip. And this is what... You use turnip and you layer it with the potatoes, but the turnip and potatoes, and layer it all through. I think that's
beautiful.
That's the key with that one. And then brush it with a little bit of melted butter over here. So I'm going to leave you to put these ones back in.
Yep.
That's going to go in there. That goes in here as well. That's going to go in there. The sauce, you just reduce down a little bit of this stock. You can buy this stock now in the supermarket, these little packs of stock. Touch of butter, you've got a simple little sauce done. You can put a touch of vinegar in there if you wanted to, but the key to it really is a little bit of this, the chimichurri style. So you've got 3 different herbs in here. We've got the coriander, we've got the mint, we've got the parsley, a little bit of garlic, some chilli and some shallot. And then we can make this as it sits here. So we take some olive oil and then a touch of red wine vinegar over the top. You can tell it's my house and I'm using the bowl because I don't want to wash up another bowl. But look, you just mix all this lot together and you've got this chimichurri style sauce that you can serve with it. Right, we've got our Barnsley chops. Lift this out. Check them out. Oh!
That's it.
I'm going to get letters about Barnsley and Sydney now. I know that's going to be happening. But you're going to be Googling it when you're going home as well.
Like, yeah, it's
not the same.
Another one on
It's
the
not the
supper
same.
club.
It's a much nicer harbour.
It's not the same. It's not the same. There you go. And then what we're going to do... Sheffy, do you want to plate up?
Go for
Bit
it.
of that? I love how you get the spoons and I get my fingers.
No, that's it, you see.
Well, you can put the chops on it and make it look
Being
pretty.
polite, I'm in your house.
Well, you can put the chops on it, make it look pretty. Off you
All
go.
right. Which ones are you using the bowl with?
It feels like I'm cooking for the village with all these 4 plates, to be honest with you. Happy with that? Go on,
Absolutely.
There's some... I'm worried there's some tongs there. If it's like asbestos hands.
We'll just take a little bit of this chimichurri over there. Another one.
Check that.
And then I will need a spoon for this, but I'm not picking this sauce up with my fingers. And then we've got a nice little bit of sauce over the top. With that, and your dauphinoise potatoes, I don't think that's... You need to start writing your own menus for restaurants, you see, Adam. You see, that's not a bad... That's not a bad little dish.
Nice.
I took all your favourite ingredients and chucked it on the plate.
This is it.
It's turned out all right in the end. So there you have it. My sort of grilled Barnsley chops with asparagus, chimichurri, and a turnip and potato dauphinoise. Done.
Beautiful.
Right, you get a little bit of this dauphinoise to go with it. Oh, there we go. For you. Adam, bon appetit.
Thank you so much.
Dive in. Dauphinoise shortly be coming to a Scottish pop-up.
Near you. Well,
Near you.
chimichurri, maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe. Thank you.
Mr. Knappett, there you go. First time on the show. It's a pleasure having you at the house today.
Thank you for having me.
There we have it.
Thank
Lisa, you're just going to help yourself. Off you go.
Oh, thanks.
Go on.
Like part of the furniture, me now, aren't I?
You are part of the furniture in here. You are. You're more than welcome to be as well, but there you go.
Chimichurri and lamb really works. It's the mint.
Well, it does
Yeah.
work. I'm not too sure whether the dauphinoise and everything else works altogether, but yeah, I think the lamb and chimichurri is fantastic. But now you know where your Barnsley chops come from. There we go. That's it. Well, they're off diving in. That's all we've got time for today. I'll see you back here at the same time next Saturday morning. We'll be joined by more top chefs. Chantel Nicholson, Claude Bossy will be here. Nick Nairn and loose swimming star Charlene White will be also here. Until then, take care. Stay safe. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye for now. Dive in.